Before installing the Reposit kit, remember to fill in the customer registration form. This form should be completed for every installation and at least 10 days before installing the system. Before the installation, please read the Reposit installation guide and Reposit connection diagrams. Prepare tools for the installation. The tools and cable for installation aren't provided by Reposit Power. Make sure you use proper safety gear and refer to the installation manual for clarification. Each Reposit system comes with several components that are shipped in a brown box. Depending on how you have ordered your kit, the kit number may be located on the outside of the brown box or supplied on the job sheet. It is important to keep this kit number for reference at the site, as it is needed to specify which software for the system to download. The components included in each kit include the Reposit installation guide and connection diagram documents, a choice of Wi-Fi and Ethernet adapters used for establishing an internet connection, one 2-pin plug for power to the Reposit box, one 3-pin for the RS485 connection to the Reposit box, one Reposit box with 8-character serial number, one 5-volt DC power supply unit, and a number of Reposit RP115 meters, depending on the number of phases at the site and whether the solar system is AC or DC coupled. For all Reposit installations, you will need at least one RP115 net meter for each normal supply phase. These are used to measure the power exchange between the premises and the grid, with a green sticker labelled net on the side. Additionally, each type of RP115 net meter has a coloured meter ID sticker labelled 17, 18 or 19, depending on whether it is used to measure red, white or blue phase, respectively. For sites with AC coupled solar systems, additional RP115 meters are required. These have a yellow sticker on their side labelled solar, as well as a coloured meter ID labelled 20, 21 or 22. In combination with these components, the installer must supply protection devices for the Reposit power supply and meters, cabling for 240 volt wiring to the Reposit meters and Reposit power supply, Cat5 cabling for data connections, and RS485 cabling for metering. The equipment can be installed in a variety of locations. However, in this video, we will be demonstrating installation in an outdoor rated load centre. Reposit components may also be installed inside the main switchboard. In each case, the Reposit hardware will only be covered under warranty if kept out of direct sunlight. We will now demonstrate a Reposit installation on a 3-phase house with one existing AC coupled solar system. The kit required for this installation contains 4 Reposit RP115 meters. 3 of these have a green sticker labelled net on their side and are used to measure the power transferred between the house and the grid from each phase. The 4th meter is used to measure the power generation from the solar submains and contains a sticker labelled solar on its side. Note that DC coupled solar systems using a hybrid inverter do not require an additional RP115 solar meter. Install the Reposit box, 5-volt DC power supply, RP115 meters and circuit breaker on the DIN rail. Create a connection using 240 volt cabling between the RP115 meters and 5-volt DC power supply to connect to a neutral supply when on site. Next, connect the RP115 meters to the respective phases via the circuit breaker. It is important to power each meter from the phase it is going to measure, as the active and neutral connections provide a voltage reference for these meters to calculate the power on each phase. For instance, connect net meter 17 to the red phase terminal of the circuit breaker, net meter 18 to the white phase terminal, and net meter 19 to the blue phase terminal. Similarly, connect solar meter 20 to the phase that the solar AC coupled submains is on. In order for the RP115 meters to send their data to the Reposit box, daisy chain the meters together using the ABG terminals located above the active and neutral terminals. Ensure that there is no crossing of wires between A, B and G terminals, as this will terminate the communication. Connect the last link in the daisy chain to the 3-pin plug supplied. This should neatly connect to the 3-pin terminal at the top of the Reposit box. To supply the Reposit box with power, a connection is required between the 5-volt DC power supply unit and the Reposit box. Use the terminals at the top of the power supply unit and connect them to the 2-pin plug supplied. This should neatly connect to the 2-pin terminal at the bottom of the Reposit box. Current transformers come connected to each meter with the white lead in the top left and the black lead in the top right of the meters. These CT leads have an outer shielding wire surrounding the inner core. If they do not have boots on them, make sure that you strip back the shielding wire and only terminate the inner core into the meter. As per the connection diagrams, net meter CT should be located on the consumer mains of their respective phases. Net meter 17 should be located on the red phase normal supply between the main switch and the utility meter and oriented according to the grid and load stickers. Similarly, CTs for net meters 18 and 19 should be located between the main switch and utility meter for white and blue phases respectively. Solar meter 20 should be located as to measure only the solar submains, oriented according to the solar inverter and solar main switch stickers. It should not pick up any loads from the house or the battery inverter. To ensure communication between the battery inverter and the Reposit box, a standard Cat5 cable with RJ45 terminations is used. Plug the Cat5 into the inbuilt Ethernet port at the bottom of the Reposit box and connect it to the LAN port on the inverter. Some inverters need to be reconfigured to communicate with the Reposit box. As of April 2017, SolarEdge and SMA Sunnyboy storage inverters require settings changes to enable the Modbus TCP, while Solax inverters need the IP method to be set to auto. Details on how to correctly reconfigure the inverter are detailed in Section C of the Reposit installation manual. In order to complete the installation, an internet connection needs to be set up to the Reposit box to allow the installer portal to run. This can be done using a wired or Wi-Fi connection. However, wired connections are strongly recommended due to the potential problems with signal strength and changes to network settings that are typically observed in wireless installations. For wired connections, connect the Ethernet cable from the customer's router to the Reposit box using the USB to Ethernet adapter provided. For wireless connections, plug the provided USB Wi-Fi adapter into the inbuilt USB at the top of the Reposit box. To connect to the customer's Wi-Fi network, a mobile hotspot first needs to be set up on a mobile phone located close to the Reposit box. For Android users, go to Settings, More, and Tethering and Portable Hotspot. Change the network name to Reposit Install with a capital R and a capital I. Then enter the password as Installer Reset with a capital I and a capital R. For Apple users, go to Settings, General, About, then name and enter Reposit Install. To set the password, go to Settings and then Personal Hotspot, where you can change the Wi-Fi password to Installer Reset, and move the toggle on Personal Hotspot so that it shows Now Discoverable. After connecting the Ethernet cable or setting up the Reposit Install hotspot, power up the Reposit box and log in to the Reposit Power Installer portal at install.repositpower.com.